On this channel, I really focus on 55 and 65-inch TVs, but that's not for everyone. So today we're going to take a look at the LG 43-inch UT75. If you was looking at this television, you see features like HDR10 Pro, it has the A5 7th generation processor, and is powered by WEBOS 24. LG always has a lot of features such as Apple AirPlay and HomeKit, Chromecast. It also has built-in Alexa, and it supports Matter for those who want to hook it up to their smart home devices. Now this TV has a lot of variants. On this video, we're going to use the UT7590 PUA, which is a United States model, as you can see right there. And just so you know, the UT7550 that's here in the United States is the exact same model. For my Canadian friends, it's a UT7570, and the closest thing that I could find in the UK is the 73006, which is a completely different type television, but it's close. Now, as far as panels, the 43-inch I'm using uses an IPS panel. If you go with the 50-inch, you can get a VA panel, and all the other sizes all the way up to 86 uses IPS panels as well. That's known to give you better viewing angles and better colors. And just so you know, I picked this one up for $249 at Best Buy's website, but you can get the 86-inch for around $900, so you can get a large TV. So if it ends up performing well, it might be a great buy for you. Since this is a 43-inch, on top of the box, you can find this power cord, and I like the fact that it's right angle, so if you plug it in, you can push your furniture closer to the wall. You also get an instruction book, show you how to install these plastic feet, and it has a couple of screws probably deep down in the box with the remote control. And here's everything you get. You get the batteries, some wire maintenance, remote control, some screws, and you get this little guide right here. Here's the remote control that comes with it. It's very basic, but I like all the functionality on it as far as the number pad. You have a huge volume rocker, TV channel changer, as well as a navigation and some hotkeys. The thing that kind of stands out to me is that this is not a Bluetooth remote, so I don't see a voice command button on it for the built-in Alexa. So be interested to take a look at that once we get it up and running. In the box, you're going to find a piece of styrofoam on both sides of it. There's another piece of styrofoam on the front of it. There's nothing in the back here, but overall it's packed pretty well. I kind of miss unboxing these smaller TVs because they're very lightweight. Here's the hole where you mount the feet on, and the interesting thing is that it only uses one screw, so very simple to put together. You can have it up and running in no time at all. Now, as far as audio, this TV is 10 watts by 2. You can see a speaker right there. And if we move over here to the center, there's a press button, so you can get through your basic menus and turn the TV off right there. And there's a slot right here for you to use these plastic tabs to do your cable management. As far as connection, it has a USB, 2 HDMIs right here, and it has a TV tuner. It also supports all your Wi-Fis, including Wi-Fi 5, and it has a fiber optic, a third HDMI, another USB, and an Ethernet connection. Now keep in mind, by having this on the back of it, if you wall mount it, you're only going to have access to the side ones. I was unboxing the 43-inch and noticed that it had a cracked screen. Well, I buy some TVs in bulk, and I bought 4 TVs back at the beginning of October, and I just got around to making the video. But the thing is that with the cracked screen, I have to throw the TV away, but at least I got a little credit back, but it is wasted money. So when I went back to the store, all they had was the 50-inch. So we're going to continue the video with this one, and the 43-inch that used to be there is going to go into the trash. With that being said, the whole point of this is that when you buy a new television, make sure you check it out immediately, because if it has a cracked screen, you will not get taken care of because they'll assume that it's your fault. With that being said, take a look at the 50-inch here, and this kind of reminds me of Hisense years ago, which is kind of rare. And this one has a power cord that you cannot take off, which is kind of interesting. And just like the 43-inch, you can mount it on the wall. There's a screw hose, and it has 2 USBs, 3 HDMIs, and one of them is eARC. Down here at the bottom, you have a LAN connection, fiber optic output, and over here you have your antenna input. I do want to mention that the feet has a metal plate here, and it uses 2 screws instead of the single one. So here's WebOS 22. This is the operating system that runs this television. I set the TV up using the ThinQ mobile application, and got everything up and running on Wi-Fi and things like that. Now, some things you want to think about when you get a TV like this is that you have to create a profile if you want to download applications. And basically that requires you to sign into an LG account. And once you do that, you can download applications Otherwise, whenever you go into the App Store and try to download an application, as soon as you hit download, it's going to give you a prompt to log into an account. So keep that in mind when buying this television, that you cannot download apps unless you logged in, but you can still use the inputs, which I'm going to be doing today. Now, the first thing I noticed on this television is that it is a little bit laggy. As you can see right there, it does hesitate, and you can rearrange some of the features, but you cannot disable them. As you can see right there, I can just move them around. But this TV has a lot of features. For example, you have a learning center. You can set up your favorite sports team. There's a gaming hub, so you can use cloud-based games by hooking up a controller. You also can use your mobile phone or USB thumb drives to play your favorite music. And there's a home hub, so if you get the upgraded remote control called the Magic Remote Control, then you can use voice commands to get through some of those features. But as you can see here, it's a lot of features in this television, but we're not going to go over everything. But I will tell you that the App Store is robust, so you have just about every app that you can imagine. It does have a feature called Room to Room with 2 LG televisions. You can connect them together to share the screen. It also has a built-in web browser, music player, and again, if you buy that Magic Remote Control, you then have access to the Alexa features. For those who are wondering, it doesn't have a camera built in, but you can add a camera if you like. It is an accessory. And as you can see right here, it does require a USB camera plugged into the back of it. So the only privacy issue you're going to have is just signing into the App Store, but read the terms and conditions. It also has this new feature called Chatbot, and this allows you to use that voice activated remote control to ask it different things. Like if you want to change the screen quality, go to certain channels, you can just ask it with this particular AI feature. And I really like the fact that they have this quick go-to menu that you can get to some of the settings very easy, but you can press on this setting button here at the top. And this is where you're going to control the picture, sound, general, some of the other features built into the television. A feature I do like about this TV is that it didn't come with the energy savings mode turned on, so you don't have to use that feature unless you want to, but I'm sure we're going to like the brightness on this TV just the way it is. So now we're going to do some picture tests on these televisions, because this whole time in this video, you probably wonder how well does it perform. Well, so far, I think it has really good colors. It's very natural and it's balanced very well. The only thing is that this TV doesn't have new technology like mini LED or OLED, so you're not going to get those inky black levels, and we'll check that out in just a minute so you can see how well it performs. Now we're going to check out upscaling in this television, and as you can see, 480p actually looks pretty decent, except for whenever you see titles or anything like that, like the 4K wide cropped in the corner of the screen. And the great thing is that this TV does have an aspect ratio changer. So if you go into user select, you can use the original, you can use 4:3, you have a vertical zoom, and you do have a 4-way zoom. And for people who watch anamorphic widescreen movies and want to get rid of those black bars, you could use this feature, but you are going to sacrifice the picture quality by stretching it out. Now moving up to 720p, I think this is the sweet spot because most content is delivered in 720p. And I think it's going to look great on all your content if you have 720p or above. And moving up to 1080p, I personally couldn't tell the difference between 720p, so the upscale on this TV does a really good job. But I will tell you, on 4K content, this is going to be great for text because it looks a lot sharper than the other two resolutions, but it's not that noticeable, but it all depends on what signal that you're running through it. But being the price point this is for LG, I think this is a pretty good looking television for the money. But the thing that I'm going to show you a little bit later on is that it doesn't have the inkiest black levels, but I think it's going to perform pretty good for the average user. Now when it comes to blooming on this VA panel, I don't see any problems with any kind of glow around the images, but keep in mind this could vary on the IPS panels, but unfortunately I don't have one to show you so we can see the differences. Now this TV does have what you call DSE, that's dirty screen effects. As I was going through all these different tests, I was noticing as I got into the gray areas, you are going to see some areas where it's not as clean. And you might notice this if you was watching a dark scene movie or if you had something that had an all black screen on it. So I had the TV in cinema mode, but what we're going to do is switch over to sports mode. And as you can notice, the colors on the icon gets a lot brighter. And this just set up the TV for better motion handling as well. Now watching this TV, it seems like everything is kind of artificial. If you look at the color of the grass, it's not that green that you would be used to, but it's more like a neon green. Switching over to a different channel, I'm going to tell you that not every sporting event that you watch is going to look the best. It all depends on the camera they're using, broadcast, so it's a lot more that goes along with it. I feel like for the average person that this TV looks good enough. Now you got to remember how much money you're saving when you're buying a TV like this, so you can't complain too much. So when it comes to movies, there's all kinds of settings in here, but cinema is going to be the best. But I want to show you what this TV looks like on vivid mode. Here we have standard mode, gets a little bit softer. On the basic, you can set up your own settings, and then there's the cinema mode. Now, one thing I noticed is up in the top part in this area, you're going to see a little bit of gray. Let me turn up the ISO on the camera so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is what I mean, that you're not going to get those inky black levels, as you can see right in here. And this is what I'm seeing here in the studio. But let's go and put it back to a normal setting so you can see what it looks like if we go through the different picture profiles. Now, besides cinema, we do have that sports mode that I showed you earlier. You do have a gaming optimizer, which makes everything smoother, and it also gives you a gaming bar, which I'll show you a little bit later when we get into that section. This is filmmaker's mode, expert brightness, and expert darkness. I want to show you that the ISF that you see here is a calibration company that's preset this up for LG from the factory. Besides the backlights, the SDR mode on this television looks pretty good, but overall the SDR content on this TV looks really good just looking at the picture, but just be aware those black bars will have some gray in them. Now, this TV does not have Dolby Vision in it, but with the Apple TV, I'm going to put it in HDR mode so we can see the difference in the picture profiles. Now, one thing you'll notice on LG is that you do get that HDR logo up in the corner. So I really like that feature. A lot of TVs don't even have that these days. Now, the one thing about HDR is that it doesn't get as bright, but you can see here the different modes like standard, basic. It changes the tone of the picture. But the great thing is that in the vivid mode, it didn't blow everything out as we seen earlier. So again, this TV does look good whenever you're just looking at the frames in the picture. But here's the movie playing out in HDR cinema mode, and let's take a look at a brighter scene as well. So in HDR mode, it's going to be very watchable, but just keep in mind it's not going to be as bright as you get in those other TVs that I reviewed on the channel. Now we're going to take a look at gaming, and as you can see, I do have it in gaming optimizer so we can check out the input lag. Now this is a 1080p 60 Hz tester, but let's see how fast this responds. So it looks like 9.1 milliseconds. And it's holding right there, so it's going to have really good gaming capabilities. Since this is a 60 Hz television, we're going to just use the Xbox Series S to do some tests to see what the picture capabilities are. So as we know, it does support 4K UHD. If we look under TV details, as you can see, it will not support 120 Hz, and this TV does not have Dolby Vision in it. And if we go over here to video modes, you can see that it does have auto low latency, but it does not have variable refresh rates. But what I'll do is just see if it will handle 120 Hz just by overriding the system. Okay, by overriding the system, you can see that 1440 is the maximum resolution we can get, and we'll toggle this over just to see if it supports any form of 120 Hz. Now, even though this is a 60 Hz panel, it does support 1080p at 120 Hz, which is pretty cool. Now, this TV does have a gaming bar, and as you can see right there, it is seeing the 120 frames. It has some settings like your AI game settings. You can change your black levels, change this color of this menu, game optimizer, and auto low latency is on. So you have a lot of different options once this is in the gaming mode. Now let's check out the game. But I recently found out a problem. When I try to turn up the volume, it says that audio is not supported in this mode. So I'll just put it back into automatic settings so we can test out the gaming. This TV doesn't have the most robust audio system, but you do have an EQ in here. You can also select if it's wall mounted or if you're going to have it on a stand, which you can do right there to get the better sound. And then you can do automatic adjustment, so it will automatically lower the volume on those loud commercials. But for TV speakers, not bad. I'd still recommend an audio system. LG has some basic ones that'll match up perfectly with it.
This is a Tech Steve audio test for the next few moments. Sit quietly and experience the range of this TV's audio capabilities as we test the boundaries of sound. this is the end of the Tech Steve's audio test and transmission.
Now, as far as glare, this TV actually reflects pretty decently for a budget model. And I would say if you have a lot of lights in your room, do expect to get some type of glare off this television. And you can get the OLED or something like that. If this is a problem for you, you're gonna have to spend more money. But for a basic TV, I think it's good if you get the right angle on it and you don't have a lot of lights and lamps in the room. Unfortunately, I don't have the IPS panel to check the viewing angles, but I would tell you for this VA panel, as you get off axis, you will get some coloration in the skin tones, and that's just something that you get on most VA panels. So just keep that in mind if you plan on mounting the TV up high and it's not on an angle where you get direct view. Before we end this video, I just want to say here's the LG remote control, and back here is the Hisense U7N. If I hit the power button, it turns the TV off and on. Now it doesn't control the features on it, but this is kind of interesting that the volume works and the power works on this television. So you're probably wondering what's my thoughts on this television. Well, in my personal opinion, I think LG really has a focus on QNED and OLED. This TV is decent, but it kind of reminds me of videos that I did 4 years ago. The technology is about 4 years old. The TV is a little bit laggy. The colors are good, but in some cases I did expect a lot better black levels. But you know, local dimming and any of that good stuff. Also, if you want to get the voice commands, you can get the Magic Remote Control. It's around $22 on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to be able to do the Alexa and some of those other type of things. But it does have a lot of features. The WEBOS 24 has a lot of stuff. I wish they didn't have the commercials at the top of the screen that you can't get rid of. I don't know, what do you guys think? I think it's a fair, decent television, and I don't expect much. Technology is moving to mini LED, QNED, OLED, and I think that this type of technology has been left behind, and it's gonna be great for a garage or bedroom, but put it in your family room, just something to consider. If you're not a big TV fan, you can go for that big 86-inch. If you guys are interested in this television, I'll leave links in the description below so you can go look at some other reviews. With that being said, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.